Hey YouTube. So I wanted to make this video about the importance of the outdoors and mental health because I think, like, say in the hunting community, um, there's not a whole lot of talk about this, and I'd like to make more videos on this in the future, kind of, explaining a little bit more detail. But I think that the reason why a lot of people get so much fulfillment out of outdoor activities, whether it be, hiking, hunting, fishing, any type of outdoor sports like, skiing, stuff like that, is you are removing yourself from the day to day hustle of life, right? So even on this phone, we're so attached to our phones, and the TV, and the stress of everyday work and the people around us, traffic, all this stuff. This world has developed into this mentality that we need more, faster, quicker, better, and to a certain extent, we can grow as individuals and make the world around us better, like our immediate surroundings better. But with all the stress that we have to endure while doing that, doing things for other people, say your job or your family, your friends, whatever, that's a tremendous amount of stress, and you can't make everybody happy all the time. The reason I think that we need some sort of outlet for outdoor activities is because we disconnect from all of that. I think as modern day humans, we have forgotten, these old ways of being able to disconnect and learn about our surroundings and, see wildlife, see nature, just stop having all this internal clutter of random information and stress going through our minds. So the reason I think hunting should never ever be banned or infringed upon, and obviously that's that's a rabbit hole I'm not going to specifically go down right now, but I don't think that hunting and fishing should be infringed upon. I think that people should have the ability to harvest their own meat. um the funny thing about that is, we have like this factory farming situation, um which I don't completely agree with. I there's some benefits, but, like, these animals aren't treated well. Even in humanely raised places, they're not treated well. The people that work at these places, unless it's like a little small farm, those people love the animals that they're raising and that they harvest and provide for the community. But, so many people depend on heavily factory farmed meat, and I don't think that that's really humane, in my opinion. um and that's why I hunt. These animals that I hunt elk, deer. I've harvested a turkey before. You know, there's a way to safely and humanely dispatch an animal, um, and to be able to procure that meat for my family and my friends. And it's such good meat. It's so much healthier than the factory farm stuff that you get. And there's no way, there's no argument around that. I really don't care what anybody says about that. You'll never convince me otherwise. But, you know, there is no such thing as consumption without some sort of death involved. And I honestly think that's the beauty of hunting and life, understanding what life is really about, And we're so far separated from that, whether it be, hunting big game or fishing, even. Um, this is the natural world that we are involving ourselves in, and we have to struggle. You know, that is a pretty hard struggle to be able to harvest something. It takes a lot of time and effort to be able to understand your setup and all this stuff and become an ethical hunter. But I don't think that we struggle enough in this society. We struggle mentally very hard. Um, but what benefits do you get? You get money, right? I don't have anything against money, but I think the love of money is a problem. I think, you know, the mental struggle of everyday life and the strain and the stress that it puts on us and the lack of fulfillment that we get from, you know, some people love their jobs. If they can have that, then that's beautiful, and I respect people for that. But, you know, I don't think that we should be constantly in that mental battle and that mental struggle. I don't think that it's healthy for us. Um, Even now as a truck driver, you know, I work anywhere from between 40 hours and up to 60 hours a week. And that takes a lot of time away from my everyday life. I need some sort of outlet. But that's, you know, but I like to find things to do. That's why I've been on this heavy arrow kick and, you know, understanding, you know, how to make my setup better so that I can become a better hunter. Um, that it's just given me so much fulfillment. I'm using my mind. And yes, there's stress involved, but once you figure out an issue, you are getting fulfillment out of that. You're getting like the natural serotonin that like we need. And so many people are focused on that dopamine hit, you know? And I think that we need that more. We need to be able to accept that we're not going to get instant success on things all the time. And actually these things like scrolling or whatever, um, it's it can destroy your mental health pretty quickly. And I'm glad that more people are talking about it, but I think that I wanted to bring it up specifically because, like, say in the hunting community, my channel's kind of like honed in around like archery right now and hunting and stuff, and so I think that's why I want to go ahead and start bringing this stuff up more, is because I don't hear it talked about enough. And you know, one other thing for me is like I really wanted to talk about my dad. Um, you know, even when I was younger, I was always close to my dad, but you know, I had like one of those separated households. When I was younger, my dad had divorced from my mom, and like, so I only got to see my dad every other weekend. But you know, one thing that I'm blessed with is that my dad has always hunted, even since he was a child, and that got me around hunting in general. I'd gone out a couple times with my dad to go hunt, and I think if it weren't for that, I would be a completely different person by now. But like about 6 years ago, it's probably 7 by now, but about 6 years ago, me and my dad got a deer together. I didn't shoot it, my dad did. But to be able to have that experience with my dad, um, I don't know, it changed my life. And he gave me his bow, and from that point on, I was kind of hooked on hunting. And you know, my dad came out last year to elk hunt with me, and I'm going out there to hunt some whitetail with him. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for that. That, you know, that connection that me and him have, he provided that for me ever since I was a child. And I can't tell you how much better my life is because of hunting. I think a lot more people need to have that around in their lives. I don't know. There's something so spiritual about it. And yeah, I just figured I'd talk about this a little bit. Um, but yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this, I'm going to make more videos in depth about hunting, mental health, my dad, stuff like that, based around hunting. So if you like this video, please like, consider subscribing to my channel and leave comments on my videos. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Even if I don't know the answer, I'll say it, but it'll be something that I might find interesting and I might want to learn about. So feel free to ask your questions, and I really would appreciate it. Thank you.